Oh, John, thank God.
Williams, what the hell are you doing here?
Myers. Is he dead?
Myers has zero emotion. He has no motives. If he sees, he kills.
Tell the town to lock their doors. No one in, no one out.
There it goes. Hi. So, I hope everybody can hear me. We're still working on audio here, so bear with me. Was not prepared. Let's see. So that works. That's good. All right. So I had quite a few people ask me when the link got posted and when the image got posted much earlier, what are we doing today? Well, the answer to that question is absolutely anything is going to come up here. I know I'm live. I've only been live for under 3 minutes, and I've only got a couple people watching, so I'm going to give everybody time to pop in. And those of you that are going to watch this on demand later, you guys are going to get the first part of this little pre-Halloween treat. So I have thought long and hard about a lot of things. And it's really one of those deals where I just have had a lot of time to reflect on things and realizing that at the end of the day, a lot of ideals, a lot of things I held on to as solid for so long are really just a big giant load of crap. And trying to find ways in my head to defend those things, those people, those notions is just too exhausting for me. So what I'm going to do today is just allow you, the audience, if you're watching at home, or if you want to come to me later and ask me to do another one of these because you're not on at 11 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 p.m. here in California, further back in Hawaii, further forward on Saturday already in other parts of the world. I'm going to talk about pretty much anything I'm allowed to talk about within the realm of my legal and even moral ability. I have had questions asked of me for many years about a lot of different subjects, and I always have to kind of push them in a different direction, or I have to just flat out say, I can't talk about such and such. That's not going to happen tonight. And it's not going to happen going forward either, but I really wanted to make this tonight about just cutting loose. Now, tomorrow, if you tune in on these channels, as well as the rest of the Simply Reliable Studios folks, you're going to see us do some silly shit. We're going to be doing karaoke all night, starting at 8 o'clock Pacific, actually in this time slot tomorrow night. So come back here tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel, as well as the rest of the Casa de 18 and the Rager Wrestling channel and the Simple Man brand, all the things, because we're going to have ourselves a fun night tomorrow. Tonight's not that night. Tonight's just going to be everything discussed. As the graphic said quite clearly, unfiltered, no subject barred. However, I am going to spill my guts. I am going to allow myself to vent about what I want to vent about. If you at home who have asked me, or if you're working, if you work nights, if you guys have asked me a question in the past and had me, brush you off or defer or whatever, you want to throw me a super chat at that QR code on PayPal, go for it. I'll answer it. If you give me a particularly good super chat, I'll answer pretty much anything. I'm not going to set tiers because that's stupid for me to do it on this thing. Tomorrow night, there will be different levels of super chats that we'll accept for various songs, or various ways. But for now, I'm just going to let this flow and see where the night takes me. I could be on for another 10 minutes. I could be on for another couple hours. I got no curfew. I'm a big boy tonight, and I got nothing to fucking do. All right. So the first thing I want to really get into here and get granular on is a question that, ironically, it's mainly my family that asked me about this particular one. I'm just realizing there's a lot of shit in the background, and I think we're going to, let's see, what is this? That's that. So what's this? Okay. Just trying to keep everything organized. So, as a lot of you know, I just passed as far as this anniversary goes, I am less than a week away from my 22nd anniversary doing podcast, live streaming, all the things for professional wrestling. And I've been asked many times over the years, especially by my folks, why, and especially now with the sheer abundance of wrestling related podcasts or streams or of that thing, how is it that these folks are making money enough to sustain a living doing what they do? And in 22 years, why haven't I? And I've had different answers for that over the years. Quite frankly, it really comes down to one simple thing, and that's a choice. The choice that I made in 2002 to not have a mature approach to how I did this. And that wasn't anybody's fault but mine. I was 19 years old and gave not a shit, right? That's really what it comes down to. It's you're 19 and you're young and you get an opportunity. And you know what, honestly, even at that point and now, I'm constantly drinking about the Cowboys, Greg. There's no way around it, unfortunately. Yeah. The Detroit game was rough. Oof. It was a bad weekend in general because my Canadian Cowboys got their asses spanked. It was just bad. These poor kids. And then the Dallas Cowboys just came in and let Detroit piss right on the center star and just mark their territory. It was ugly. But I started doing this at 19, and rather than do it the right way, like the folks like Chris Van Vliet and Denise Salcedo and Conrad and his network of people, I had a very jaded view at that point of the business and went in with, these certain perceptions of people and things in professional wrestling, and that I, as a fan, had been let down by WWE, by TNA, even in their infancy, like by Ring of Honor. And it was just one of those things where I allowed things to get carried away very quickly, in that I developed a reputation for not being accountable and not keeping accountable about what I was saying, how I was saying things, who I was saying things to, how I was saying things to these people. And it has genuinely and consistently bit me in the ass. And I get asked all the time, how do you not resent the people that are successful doing this now? Well, the simple fact of the matter is, how can I possibly be mad at those people? How can I be mad at somebody that goes out there and does things the right way? How can I be mad at somebody that consistently goes out there and busts their ass and works, double time and triple time to make their product, to make their presentation the best it possibly can? And how can I be mad at somebody doing that? Because I didn't. And that was a choice. It wasn't like I could have worked so much harder and done so much better, even with the limited financial resources at the time and even now. But the truth of the matter is, for the majority of my career doing this, I've been a primarily negative person. And that's very problematic if you want to be successful doing something like this, because would I love to be doing interviews? Absolutely. But the problem is, in 2002, the majority of the shoot interviews that were being conducted were by people that were very much like me and jaded about wrestling, who had been in the business and wanted to vent their shit about it. And we pounced on them, and that we allowed them the floor. And a lot of people still had very positive reflections on their own career, but were shitting at other people, and that's what it became. Subsequently, when we went into video production, it was all about, causing controversy. And yeah, if you're Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. If you're Jeff Meacham and the people Jeff Meacham works with, it causes drama. It causes bullshit. It causes friendships to die. It causes one's reputation to be completely soured. So that's why I don't hold on to the negativity toward most folks. There are a few people that I just genuinely don't like in the wrestling podcasting world or the internet wrestling community. And that's not because of they're having better success than me. It's because I've interacted with them and they're genuinely not good people from my perspective. There are people within my circle that get along with the people I don't like. And I wouldn't not work with the people I like because they interact with those people, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't dig in my shit a little bit, because I've had negative experiences with fill in the person here. And it's just an unfortunate side effect when there's so many people in the same community, in the same line of work, that are doing the same things you're doing, and they're better at it, or at least they have more success at it than you do. You get a little chip on your shoulder. You get a little negative hitch in your get along, and that, excuse me, just is what it is. But I also had to make the conscious effort to not purposely dig at those people. It's unfortunately, there's a lot of things about this part of my life that are still very much in a holding pattern until the first of the year, for reasons that's one of the things I can't talk about, for the record, why I'm in kind of a holding pattern until January 1st. There's just been some shit that's gone down that I can't do anything to reposition myself going forward. So once those obstacles are overcome, then you'll see me back doing this full time. It'll be a bit, but January 1st is not as far away as it was. So that's the main thing. People every once in a while I get a message like, how do you maintain the niceties toward the more successful folks when they came along after you? And it's like, because they're good people. They're nice people. Chris Van Vliet didn't have to give me the time of freaking day at Sam Roberts' podcast back in WrestleMania week last year. And he did. Super nice guy. Knew who I was a fan of my shit. Go figure. Same with Denise Salcedo. I met her when I went to go visit X-Pac at his show a few years ago when she was just starting out working with Sean. And just a wonderful young lady, and so happy for her and her unbelievable imprint on the business and on this part of the business. She's awesome. I love Denise. Conrad Thompson, people, I took a shot at Conrad a few weeks back just because it was like, just frustrated, but I absolutely am entertained by the majority of his shows. And people get on me for that part too. It's like, oh God, Bruce Pritchard is such a Vince McMahon guy. Because it's still Bruce Pritchard, and he's got so much more freaking knowledge and history in this industry than I could ever even get a whiff of. Yeah, I've been a fan for 34 years this week, as a matter of fact. But Bruce has been in the business since before I was born. Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle on that front. Who else? JR, Tony Schiavone. There are so many awesome people that he works with weekly and on the regular that I can't help but be entertained by the stories on that show. He actually set up a thing on Instagram, as far as the fans of what's your favorite ad-free shows presentation? Right now it's Jeff Jarrett's, because Jeff Jarrett's is the only one that really seems like it's not skewed 100% one way or the other. And that isn't a crack on JR necessarily, but JR, if I'm being honest, JR's is sometimes a little hard to listen to because I've been such a fan of Jim Ross for so long that it's hard for me to see him struggle. That's not to say I will not listen anymore. It's not to say I'm not overwhelmingly happy when he gets to call matches on AEW shows. It's just the weekly listen is difficult because I feel bad for Jim that he is having such struggles with his with a thing that he's loved more than anything in this world, maybe except his Jan, of course. But I still love the podcast. I still love Jeff Jarrett's podcast. Eric Bischoff's. I actually ran a poll of who my people who you guys think hates Dave Meltzer more, and that Bruce Pritchard got the overwhelming vote, and that actually surprised me because if you listen to both shows, man, Bruce goes off on Dave, but then that's it. Eric seems to fixate on Dave Meltzer every time he's brought up. And it's like, okay. For what it's worth, and let me just say this right now, I have never been a fan of Dave Meltzer and the way he does his thing. And I mentioned in a chat earlier today amongst a group of my friends that it was so wonderful to see Phil Mushnick get raked over the coals by Vince Russo on Piers Morgan's show. I think that was this morning. That was just funny to me. And I wish more people would keep the really venomous folks like Phil Mushnick, like Dave Meltzer at bay. Now, I will say this about Mr. Meltzer. I don't believe there's anybody better in terms of historical documentation of the industry as far as knowing his stuff on historical facts about wrestling. I dare say there's nobody better. My issue with Dave Meltzer has always been the creating of the narrative for the sake of his readers that they take as just gospel, no matter how much bullshit is served on that plate. That's sucky for me to have to it's like, how do people believe that? But at the same time, if there's people like Dave Meltzer, like the folks that ran the torch, all these other sites, I dare say there wouldn't be a Jeff Meacham doing this now, because all of the news that gets reported on that isn't a press release from WWE or AEW or TNA or the NWA or whatever comes from the rumor and innuendo that comes out of those newsletters. I think my issue is they don't present it as oh, this is just a rumor. This is just innuendo. This is just, an opinion piece. And people run with the fact that it's being presented as fact. And it just, it bothers me that everybody's lumped in the same. I actually listened to Jonathan Coachman the other day on Chris Van Vliet's show, and Coach made a point that just hit me square in the heart and right between the eyes. People like Coach doing a podcast now, or the people on Conrad Networks, or the people that do interviews with the Chris Van Vliet that he's on the world. The difference between them doing podcasts and, fans like me is they've been in the business and I haven't. And that's why my approach for all those years will never allow me to be taken fully seriously by the people that have been in the business, that are in the business, that will always look at people like me as a fan. And I had to come to that realization. Then I had to go, you know what? It's okay to be just a fan. All these years, yeah, I really wanted to be involved. Yeah, I really wanted to be part of it. But the truth of the matter is, no matter how many independent shows I worked on out here in California, no matter how many shows I traveled to be, a small part of a big deal, or a small, really small part of a small deal, I was never in the business. I just wasn't. That's just the facts of it. Never went to wrestling school, never actually competed or, trained the proper way. The one bump I took, I ended up bruising my ribs and was completely out of commission long enough where I became the laughing stock of that particular locker room. And it strained a relationship for a long time. That I'm sad got strained as a result. And yeah, do I like being thought of as a clown? No. Do I realize that's my lot in life? Yeah, I do. And I'm happy to be a fan. I'm happy to have an opinion that a lot of you out there value for whatever reason. I think a big part of what took me so long to God, I can't get the shoulder still hurt like a son of a bitch. The part of why it took me so long to reconcile that is because no human being worth their salt wants to admit that they're not universally loved, or they're not, or they have people that hate them for whatever reason. And I'm definitely in that category, but when I got my little slap on the wrist, or there you go, slap on the wrist and timeout from Google YouTube earlier this summer, it was one of those, okay, I can sit back and actually think about these things now and realize my place in the world, and what are the priorities in my life. And I really think that for a very long time, even when I was still cooking with gas and being able to work with the No DQ team and help really cultivate what ultimately became the Costume Studios and then the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, was I wasn't prioritizing the right things. And that is, and was for a very long time, a major, major issue. I did not let the entirety of myself kick in to the right mode in April of 2008 when I became a parent. Dylan, from that very moment, should have been my sole priority, and he wasn't. And that's not to say that I don't unconditionally love my son. That's not to say that I would not do anything for him or to protect him from the god-awful things in this world and to celebrate the goods in this world with him. But I still remained entirely too focused on this. And it was only recently that changed. And there are a lot of people that I interact with and that I don't interact with, but I know about, that still haven't had that switch go off in their brain. And it's a problem. the people I do know that I've noticed it, it's been discussed, and I can only do it. I'm only one person, despite my needing 2 seats on planes sometimes. Still only one guy. And people will say what they're going to say, and they're going to do what they're going to do. Human beings are who they are. But I do, for those of you out there watching this, the live feed folks and everybody going to watch it later, I can't stress enough how important it is to learn what the priorities are in life. Whatever point of your life you're in. If you're single and you're unencumbered by adult responsibilities, enjoy your life, man. Enjoy your life, girl. Do you. If you've got a partner, then your partner is the priority. If you have a child, the child's your priority, then the partner, then everything else. If you've got a place of employment that's not yours, you've got your partner, you've got your child, you've got your partner, then you've got your job. I did not prioritize those things in that order for a very long time. And I am dealing with that now. It's and I think the reason that happened, and again, this is just me having zero training in psychology or therapy or whatever, just being part of that process rather than controlling that narrative, is I didn't know anything else. From the minute I started doing the old show in October 2002, I know how to do that well. I have been told I'm very good at articulating my points. I'm told that I'm rather good at this. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I do appreciate the compliments. Let me be clear. But 6 years into this, I became a parent, and that should have been the priority. 3 years into this, I met his mother, and I was still working for the high school football team, working as a assistant to the coach. And I chose to spend time with her over going to practices and events and things. And I was given the choice, and I chose to stay with her rather than prioritize the football program. And the consequences of that was I was not part of a championship team that season or a state championship team the following season. But I wouldn't trade that because I got my son ultimately out of that relationship choice. Sorry, trying to keep the stomach from bubbling any more than it already is. Canada Dry is a beautiful brand. Let me tell you what. If they would sponsor me, I'd take it in a heartbeat because I can live off this shit and water and be good to go. When I came back from WrestleMania week in 2008 and made the choice to continue on with working with Aaron, and I would film shows here. I would do the shows out on the driveway, with the laptop set up and the kid in the playpen and doing the thing. And there's a great blooper reel from that era of talk wrestling that's still on No DQ's channel to this day. It's good shit, pal. That's the other thing. I just triggered my thought process. I have had to realize that I was holding on to fandom and holding on to idolization, I think that's the word, of certain people within the industry that because they've been a part of my wrestling fandom and my existence really in general for so long that I was unwilling to separate the people from the characters. This year has been very been a big revelation year on that front. I don't make any, I don't try to keep quiet that I am not a fan of the Republican nominee for president of the United States this year. And it did on a deep level suck to see Hulk Hogan endorse him. It's interesting, but not surprising that not only is The Undertaker, along with Kane, Mark Calloway, Glenn Jacobs, I understand that, appear in a TikTok video with that nominee, but also it looks like the Republican nominee is going to be a guest on 6 Feet Under with The Undertaker and I always forget his co-host name. I'm so sorry. Because I genuinely like him. He's a funny guy and I love the podcast. I know I keep getting told don't let that particular point of my life or those particular views affect the other parts of my life, but it's very hard not to, especially this election year. There are two very distinct choices. My opinion, the problem with that is one of the choices is something I just absolutely cannot make myself choose, and the other side of it is just trying so hard not to be him that the issues aren't really being addressed that I feel as a citizen that need to be addressed, right? This whole thing, much more than any other year, is just one big giant circus tent. But there's not 3 rings. There's just 2 what the in front of me, neither of which I want to watch. So yeah, having people that I enjoyed watching for so many years and supported, and hell, I've still got the urn that I bought, really for purposes of going to meet the Undertaker, if I'm being honest. But I made sure it was the exact model that Percy used at the end of his WWE career because I just love Percy so much. Matt, it is good to see you. I'm doing okay, just kind of venting. Everybody, yes, please subscribe to the Jeff Meacham channel on YouTube. Please say hello on Facebook. Please hit that QR code. I know we're going to have the karaoke again, like I said, tomorrow night, but the fact of the matter is I really, really want to do a lot of cool stuff starting next year. Yes. But also I really want to go see Joe Hendry on Sunday. And I really want to go back to Disneyland at least once more if I end up not going back as a cast member. I'm still waiting on that reply from the company office. So, and there's stuff I'd like to do within this sphere that takes money. And for right now, because I'm not willing to deal with the Google and the YouTube bullshit of payouts, that this is how it's going to happen, guys, right here. I thank you guys for your continued support. I really do. And it needs to keep happening for me to be able to keep going when I do hopefully make that big return on the 1st of January, which is a Wednesday, by the way. It is a Wednesday. So I'll very likely be going live just before the Greg Cherry show that day. If Greg has a show on New Year's Day, I have to talk to Greg. Greg, if you're still here, can you let me know that? That'd be awesome. If not, we can talk tomorrow. Whatever, doesn't bother me. Anyway, so yeah, I was, as a young fan and a young man, encouraged in 2000 by the WWF superstars telling us to get out there and smack down our vote if I could. I couldn't vote in 2000. I was only 17. But I did have my my government class, ironically, that fall when all that bullshit was going on between Al Gore and George W. Bush. I was not yet a voter, but I was getting well educated in the voting process. And my God, were those interesting discussions. Wow. A little crazy, but it is so hard to watch now. The news in general is hard to watch these days, but the political process, especially in this country, is just such a unbelievable nightmare that it's just so difficult. I mean, that's just unfortunately the way it is. Anyway, let me get in here real quick because I do have other plugs that I did not load in here because I went live far too fast. And that was my bad, but it is what it is. So yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. As I mentioned, we've got our karaoke over on the Simply Reliable Studios feed. It will also be on this channel and this Facebook, for the record. But everybody will have their own PayPal codes or links and whatever to donate to. I told JJ in advance that I was going to really push to have at least 4 of the $25 super chats directed to me. That way I could have the 100. And even now, as I say it out loud, having Joe Hendry be $100 for a meet and greet, which granted it gets you a photo, it gets you, the autograph and the whole thing. And my issue is it's a matter of balance, I suppose. And then it's like, okay, wait, I only paid, $200 for the Undertaker. That was the Undertaker. And all I got was a photo out of that. I'm paying $100 for both now, which is great, but it's $100 that I honestly don't have. I'd like to, but I just don't have it. That's just the honest truth of it all. So yeah, but I really want, because my whole thought process is this: if I meet Joe Hendry on Sunday, the 20th, right, and then he goes on to Bound for Glory and defeats Nick Nemeth, he's a TNA World Champion. So I was one of the last meet and greets he did before he travels to Detroit for Bound for Glory weekend, which I think is just a cool little notch in my belt, right? I think it's neat. And then you hear this report about, he canceled a date in France because he allegedly told them that he has a TNA booking that day. There's no TNA booking on that day. So my belief is that he is possibly keeping November 2nd open because of WWE going to Saudi Arabia, and maybe instead of going to France, he'll be in Saudi Arabia. How cool would that be to have the TNA World Champion at the WWE Crown Jewel show? Wouldn't that be something? I think that'd be kind of cool, personally, to have the TNA World Champion out there, knowing we just saw them. I need to get rid of myself because I didn't want to be in there. Okay, I'm not in there. Cool. Just want to make sure. Okay. If you hear me echoing, let me know, because I won't be able to hear it. Just being honest. All right. So anyway, so that's where that is. But yeah, just if you guys are on the show tomorrow, I would love and greatly appreciate the well, that's interesting. It didn't show up there. Let's try that. It did not work. Why did? Oh, there it goes. Okay. So this coming that's okay. We will be covering Bound for Glory on Saturday at 8 Eastern. I believe they're going live at 7. We will have prediction shows for both Bound for Glory and Halloween Havoc, which will be on Sunday next week, the 27th. So yeah, I encourage everybody to please get out there and support NXT, support TNA, support WWE, support the wrestling that you love, whatever it may be out there. But just remember, as you do that, to try to avoid the tribalism that now seems to be a mandatory requirement as a wrestling fan, which I find so sad. Like it's silly to me personally. Just, my opinion, folks, that the overwhelming tribalism in wrestling has taken over all things. So the Yankees won today and the Dodgers lost today. It was not a good day for me in baseball. It's not that I just dislike the Yankees so much. They just always freaking win. I'm kind of sick of it. But that's just me. But yeah, I would really love if everybody could, show out for the Bound for Glory watch along, the Halloween Havoc watch along next weekend. I will not be at the Bound for Glory watch along. I'm actually going to be in, if I can find the freaking, there it is. Hi. I will actually be in Pasadena on Sunday of next week. And let me get one more thing loaded in. I know you guys are looking at my shoulder and just how messed up it's shaped and how just beautiful my plain ass t-shirt is. So bear with me. Anyway. Yeah, I was going to not do what I'm going to end up doing on Saturday, but I ended up being able to get a ticket, so I'm going. I will actually be in. It didn't load. Why didn't it load? Man, this thing is just not having a good day. And I get it. Like, whatever. There it is. Boop. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. We're having a little tech issues today. You have to forgive me, folks. Let me see if I can get the motor. Oh, it motivated it. There we go. That's happy. Okay. So it didn't like that. Let's try that again. Oh, I had it be. I hope everybody can hear me. Well, let's see. Anyway, so tomorrow, if you're in Mesa, Arizona, near the campus of Arizona State University, you can check out this premiere event for The Last Nightmare, which is a Halloween fan film in the John Tate saga of things. Very cool that they are doing that. And also, the premiere for the film worldwide will be next Friday, week from tonight, the 25th. So I'll be watching it along with the rest of you. Also on, can we show that? Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, it's the same thing. Well, I didn't load the first one then. How stupid is that shit? Okay, we'll try that again, boys and girls. We're having a tech day. Don't mind me. There it is. So the reason I will not be part of the Bound for Glory, at least not the entire watch along, I may be wrong for part of it, is next Saturday, I will be going to the Myers house as they are screening Halloween 2 at the Sugarman Gallery, which is the backyard of the Myers house, is where they'll be projecting this movie. So I highly suggest showing up prior to the 7:30 start time for Halloween 2. For no particular reason, there may be another movie showing or something of that nature. Dun 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 dun. I just saying. Get out there and get your love in for Halloween 2, because I'm going to be there. I remember Aaron telling me that he loved Halloween 2 more than the other movies. So I always enjoy watching Halloween 2. I know they kind of pigeonhole Laurie during that one, but I like it personally. For those of you that have yet to see the trailer for The Last Nightmare Part 1, which again is a Halloween fan film in the saga of John Tate, which continued on fan film wise with The Haddonfield Nightmare, which was released a couple years ago, a sequel taking place 22 years after Halloween H2O. For those of you that have not seen the trailer for this particular movie yet, here it is one more time before we sign off for the night.
Oh, John, thank God.
Williams, what the hell are you doing here?
Myers. Is he dead?
Myers has zero emotion. He has no motives. If he sees, he kills.
Tell the town to lock their doors. No one in, no one out.
There we go. Sorry. I had the long one loaded, didn't mean to. Again, check it out. If you're in the area tomorrow night, get yourself a ticket to see this thing before anybody else does. But it'll be out next Friday, the 25th. It's on YouTube and it's free. My goodness. But if you're in the area and you're a fan, get yourself out there. Got no reason not to if you're not doing anything tomorrow night. However, if you're not doing anything tomorrow night and you're not in the area of Mesa, Arizona and ASU, please come join us for Scarioke from my friends at the Simply Rival Studios. It'll also be on this channel. Beginning at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. We'll be singing all kinds of Halloween, horror, spooky time, all the things themed songs. The Munsters TV show, Addams Family, Thriller, Ain't No Grave, all kinds of stuff on the list. And that's, of course, is moderated by the renegade himself, J.J. Williams. So please come check that out. That's really it. I kind of didn't get the response I was looking for. So I'm going to be that guy and bounce out of here. But thank you again for watching. Thank you guys again for those of you that have continued to watch my craziness over the last 22 years. Again, we'll be celebrating that in the weeks to come. Actually, next week, right? Yeah, today's the 18th. So there you go. Next Friday is actually my anniversary of doing the wrestling podcasting. There will be a couple of Rob Zombie songs. Yes, absolutely. Safet. Dragula will be on there. Living Dead Girl, I believe, is on there as well. So if you guys want me to sing the Rob Zombie, I'm the only one that seems to enjoy the Rob Zombie Halloween movies because Rob's the pal. I can't help that. I'm biased as hell, and I don't make any apologies for it. But if you want to hear me sing a Rob Zombie song, which is the craziest thing because I just am not that guy when it comes to music, check out the Super Chat tiers tomorrow night on the Scarioke. We'll be live beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. And yes, the reason you see Michael getting all stabby on there in the lower third is because tomorrow is actually Michael Myers' birthday. Had he survived Halloween Ends, Michael would be turning 67 tomorrow. So there you go. If it wasn't for that damn metal thresher, he'd be collecting his Social Security checks and living the life. So we're going to honor Michael tomorrow by singing some spooky songs. That's it for me, kids. We'll see you tomorrow. And again, next week, of course, Bound for Glory and Halloween Havoc watch-alongs across the Simply Rival Studios network of channels, rather. And I'll be poking my head in when I can. But again, I'll be down at the Myers house for Halloween 2 and maybe the first one down at the Sugar Mint. So if you're in the area of Pasadena next weekend and you're over near the Sugar Mint Gallery in the Myers house, you'll see good old JM on Saturday the 26th. So come out and say hello and mention you saw this stream. And maybe we'll get a little video collaboration going. But that's it for me for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're on the West Coast, enjoy the rest of SmackDown or start it over on your DVR. If you missed it, watch it in the morning on Hulu. Shit, I don't know. Good night, folks.